Pop culture is full of autistic-coded characters, but my favorite, by far, is Caleb from Big Mouth. This should go without saying, but this is gonna be full of spoilers. So many spoilers. Spoiler minefield incoming if you have not watched all 6 seasons of Big Mouth. The exit is a swipe away. Caleb is my son. See, look, I even did this fan art of Caleb as my son. That's me and that's Caleb. So today I would like to break down all the ways that Caleb exemplifies autism. Caleb has rules. He is anchored by the ideas, beliefs, and routines that make him feel safe.
You can't touch his backpack. That's like his one rule.
And because threats to those things make him feel unsafe, he responds as if threatened.
This camera belongs to the AV Club.
Caleb prefers logic, accuracy, and clarity. Logic and accuracy guide his judgment because they're consistent.
Geometry.
An autistic person might consider this objective reality, or I prefer shared reality that is relevant to all of us.
I went to coding camp last summer.
And Caleb also prefers this kind of accuracy and clarity with language. Autistic people are a little bit particular about the definitions of words.
You are crestfallen. Please confirm.
Confirmed.
People often mistakenly think when somebody uses so-called $10 words that they're trying to sound sophisticated. But autistic people, sounding sophisticated is kind of a subtextual concept. That is not our thing. That is not the way of our people. We're just trying to be clearer by using words that are more precise and specific. Y'all have watched my videos, listened to my scripts. That's what I'm doing. I go over the sentences 10,000 times to make sure I communicated exactly the concept I was trying to communicate. It's sort of a tragedy because we use the really specific language because we don't understand the subtext, and in turn, accidentally create sounding arrogant, trying to sound sophisticated subtext. Communication is a nightmare. But I love when Caleb says this particular sentence.
Nick's penis is comparable to that of a baby.
It kicked off this idea, I'd love to make a video of, arrogant, overly sophisticated, autistic way to say a sentence and then translate it into an allistic sentence. From an allistic point of view, this sounds really cumbersome and awkward. I would think that the allistic translation of this sentence would be, Nick's penis looks like a baby's penis. But from an autistic brain's point of view, it is inefficient to repeat the word penis.
It would be an inefficient use of our resources.
So I would say it exactly how Caleb did. This is the kind of stuff that impresses me so much about this character. I understand the mental process that would make him say this way, but I'm also totally conscious of how awkward it sounds. Caleb also obviously struggles with interpreting social cues and understanding emotional expression.
Are you funny?
Yes.
This is more of a classically understood aspect of autism, but one of the ways that we overcome this awkwardness in emotional and social exchanges is memorized social scripts.
What up, fam? It's your boy Caleb. I'm reading cue cards.
We'll hear people say things to each other, and via pattern recognition, we'll gather the appropriate time to say this thing, and we often get it wrong.
Hi. Hello. You're everything to me.
Hi. Hello. You're everything to me.
And while this is an area for a lot of trauma for a lot of autistic people, I'm kind of grateful I'm at a point where I have a good sense of humor about it. There are definitely times in my youth when it was not funny, but I do have some good stories that maybe I'll go into eventually. Caleb expresses things extremely literally.
Yo, how'd she take it?
With her right hand.
And literally states the obvious.
He's wearing a hat.
And once again, this is kind of more of an autistic stereotype, well-known thing, but I like how Caleb's presentation of this trait highlights the aspect of it that's adorable. When an autistic person, particularly an autistic child, flatly and literally states an observation, it is our form of social bonding. It's the same way as when an allistic person talks to another allistic stranger about the weather. That's kind of a cliche, right? Talking about the weather. Why? Because the weather in the area that you live is one thing that's guaranteed to be common, to be shared across different people.
I like how we're both in jazz club together.
And that's how autistic people feel about facts and information and objective reality. So the next time you're talking to an autistic person that is just plainly stating the obvious, Look at it from that perspective, and you will find it so much more charming.
Hi, you're looking at me. How tall are you? There's a monster next to you.
Which is, of course, related to Caleb's love of info dumping.
When did everyone get so tall?
When their glands release androgens and hormones, triggering puberty-related growth spurts.
Once again, this is the kind of thing that's confused with being arrogant, being a know-it-all.
When the average woman is born, she has 300,000 eggs.
But that's not the response that we're expecting when we do this.
No matter how much you wash your hands, a trace amount of feces will always remain.
We think the universality of the facts is going to encourage bonding, but without a sense of the social subtext of how arrogant or know-it-all it might sound, this bonding strategy backfires.
The following is a list of other people I saw go into the bathroom today. Eric L.
Combine the info dumping with that need for accuracy, combined with those awkward social skills, you end up with something that I've heard called correctoritis.
We experiencing some sort of shared hallucination.
If this was a shared hallucination, the animation style would be different.
It's kind of like the Roger Rabbit shaving a haircut 2-bit situation. Like sometimes we just cannot fucking help ourselves. Especially if you have a splash of that ADHD impulsivity. It's just really hard to let a wrong thing go.
It's not on tape, it's a memory card.
Especially when we believe in our heart of hearts that we are doing someone a favor by updating their inaccurate information.
I'm not gonna, gay you in your sleep or anything.
It is physically impossible to turn another human being into a homosexual.
People don't like when you do them favors like that they did not ask for. And Caleb's struggle with social skills and his tendency to be blunt and literal can make him appear insensitive in all sorts of fun ways.
Caleb, do you think I'm just young, gay, and mean?
Yes. Jesse's ice cream was menstrual blood. You had plastic surgery. He wants you to spank him on his ass as if you were a baby, even though he's not actually a baby.
I'm a good person.
That is not what others say about you.
And we have a tendency to be inflexibly morally convicted, and my son is no exception.
Why is she so scary?
Men are threatened by women who don't shy away from conflict.
I'm so proud. Once again, this is a combo platter of lots of things. We have autistic rules, perception of shared reality, socially awkward bluntness, and our black and white thinking. This is right, this is wrong.
You should stop making fun of 9/11. In light of the tragedy that occurred here, that seems insensitive at best.
It can lead to us viewing our moral convictions as rigidly as the laws of physics.
Am I also supposed to care about Hurricane Katrina or Columbine?
Yes.
Relax, I'm just being funny.
No one is laughing.
And Caleb also fictionalizes his friends as comic book superheroes to better understand their behavior.
Please sign my yearbook as Mr. Invisible, since no one can see you in your black turtleneck.
It's kind of similar how I fictionalize Caleb as my son to process my feelings about my own parents. I think it's kind of a therapeutic thing. It's sort of like a reparenting thing. In my imagination, I am a better parent to Caleb than my parents were. Autistics often process their understanding of the world through their special interests.
No, her power is making other people tell the truth. I call her the Scarlet Truther.
If you look at my Instagram, it is full of carousels of screen grabs from movies and television that best express my perceptions of the world itself, or even just making these videos. Another great example of this in pop culture would be on the TV show Atypical, Josh likening the lessons he's learning in life to his fascination with the Arctic and penguins. There's actually a really great fan theory that all of Big Mouth is in Caleb's head.
Oh, so this whole thing was in your head?
Reality is only a construct.
As far as the aspects of it that are more surreal, like even the hormone monsters themselves.
There's a monster next to you.
Hey, what's up, Caleb?
But now let's talk about the moments that were nuanced and accurate enough that I'm really wondering if there is an autism consultant on the show. First, there was the episode when Lola was really upset that Andrew wouldn't pants her.
Pants her, Andrew.
Everyone was getting pantsed, Lola wanted to get pantsed, and she was trying to make the point that it's so easy.
So easy.
And to show how easy it was, she pantsed my son.
I feel embarrassed.
If this had happened on the Bridgeton Middle campus, I would have had such a talk with the principal. But if you notice his reaction, he doesn't just flatly say, "I'm embarrassed." He says, "I'm embarrassed?"
I feel embarrassed.
Like he's not sure if he's embarrassed or not. That is alexithymia right there. There's something amiss in our information processing when it comes to emotional data, because it isn't clearly defined like the definitions of words are. At least I think that's a big part of it. And while I think it's really common knowledge that autistic people have trouble understanding the emotions and social cues of others, I don't feel like it's regularly talked about that we don't understand our own either. We tend to like math and geometry because it's really clear what's right and wrong, and we tend to have trouble understanding big, complicated social issues until we can boil it down to things that are right or wrong. 0 or 1. So I'm wondering what happened behind the scenes, what creative process led to this gag. I fucking loved it. But now, finally, I've been waiting the whole video for this. Not just my favorite Caleb moment, favorite autistic TV moment, hit me right in the feels, and that is this. Roll the clip.
Now people know.
Now people know. Okay, if you're autistic and you're watching this, just promise me the next time you label something, in fact, take a picture of it, make a TikTok video and go, now people know. It just fucking kills me. Okay, why is this so great? So we already talked about how autistic people love things to have clear definitions, and we love to state the literal, and how this labeling and identifying things that are true for us all helps us connect with other people, the people around us. Hence the now people know. I'm being helpful, right? Y'all, I literally have a label on my bathroom door that says bathroom. It was like, why did I do this? I'm like, well, now people know which one is the bathroom. Oh my God. But the aspect of this that means the most to me, that's the wording I'm going to choose here, that means the most to me. The context of this clip is all the characters from Bridgeton Middle are combating shame. They have, more or less, defeated the shame wizard. So in the sequence of everyone just freely accepting and expressing themselves, this is how Caleb unmasks. He's probably gotten a lot of shit for stating the literal, for explaining things that don't need to be explained. And that's a huge one for me. I constantly feel like I'm expressing this really important, helpful, insightful information, and people looking at me like, everyone knows that. But in this situation where everyone decided I'm going to stop being ashamed of what I really think, how I really feel, of what I want to say, this is how Caleb handles it. Jim Wall! Now people know. It just made me so happy. I started playing around with the t-shirt design for this and I never followed up on it. If anyone wants me to finish it, let me know. Also, if you go to my other YouTube channel where I'm going to put my fan videos and stuff, my header picture is obviously inspired by this. It's so memeable, isn't it? Like you could put anything on that wall. So in my opinion, if you wanted to do a comedic portrayal of autism done right, I think Caleb is a great place to start for inspiration. Because he's really funny, but he is very rarely, if ever, the butt of the joke. He's generally treated like just another quirky kid in a show about a bunch of quirky kids. He seems to be generally accepted. People just know that's how Caleb is. They get mad at him sometimes about specific things.
Shut the fuck up, Caleb.
Okay.
But they get mad at each other about specific things. He's not really excluded. He shows up to the makeout party just like everybody else. I loved that we saw him there. And not only does it seem like everybody else accepts him as he is, he appears to accept himself as he is. Because he has a really good mom. I'm gonna be so heartbroken if we ever see his actual mom. It will ruin my whole headcanon. Caleb to me exemplifies, if you take a self-actualized, self-accepting autistic person, what kind of role they would have socially in a society that also accepted them. We are your ambassadors to shared reality. We're just not here to read the subtext. We're here to do the geometry. We're here to take the abstract thoughts that you float through and break them down into a way that makes sense. We're here to tell you the facts, do the math and the physics, point our compasses due north to the truth. Nobody expects Caleb to be emotionally wise. They expect him to explain the algorithms.
And that's how the algorithm works.
Caleb, you have a beautiful mind.
And I just love him. I just love him to bits and pieces. Not nearly enough Caleb in season 6. What the hell? You had it right there. You have Jay, who is an openly neurodivergent character. They had an awesome Jay ADHD episode. By the way, if you have ADHD, you gotta see this episode. Jay explains like what a day in the life with his ADHD is like, and I just could not stop laughing. Jay was dating Matthew. I cannot believe you broke those two up. And Matthew is probably the closest thing to a best friend Caleb has.
Sports cannot be gay or straight.
Hilarious and false.
Caleb and Jay should become best friends. You had all you needed right there. The Caleb and Matthew dynamic, I have been in that dynamic so many times. Lindsay makes videos. I have been the AV nerd. And I generally always have a performer friend that I point my camera at. That's a perfect example of how an autistic person and an allistic person can fit together in a way that benefits them both. So I really would have liked to have seen that happen. Nick Kroll, get on it. Tell people that Caleb is autistic. Acknowledge not just that Jay is ADHD, but that Jay and Caleb are both neurodivergent. And please, I am begging you, Caleb needs a song. I want to see a monotone Caleb fast talking rap thing. Come on, y'all. You cannot tell me you don't want to see that. Nick Kroll, make it happen. And hire me to do the voice of Caleb's mom. Why not? Why not throw that out there into the universe? It would be fucking awesome. So that's it. That's the video. I am so grateful to each and every one of you. Keep moving forward. End transmission.
What an exciting adventure this has been.